All right, Travis, introduce yourself, your name, your age, and a recap on how you got into the sport.
My name is Travis Baton. I'm 34 years old. I live in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, and I started arm wrestling at about 2 years old. I had an arm wrestling table in my living room. My dad was a sort of a pioneer of West Virginia arm wrestling. He brought it back from the military, started a club, a gym, had local tournaments. 3 or 4 nightclub businesses that he owned all had arm wrestling tables in the arm wrestling in the bar. So, Shepherdstown, West Virginia is kind of the mecca of arm wrestling in the state of West Virginia, and I was a part of it from a very young age. The most important thing about that is I never learned to arm wrestle wrong. The first day I ever did it, it was with correct form and motion.
Okay. And what are your accomplishments?
My accomplishment is being the best arm wrestler who's ever lived. I mean, pretty much I always sum it up as if you bring the best 20 guys left and right-handed in the world and we pull both hands, there's a cumulative score that I feel that I'm going to raise my hand at the end. I'm an 8-time world champion left-handed arm wrestler, 3-time right-handed world champion arm wrestling super heavyweight division. I've arm wrestled all across the globe, from Dubai, the Middle East, all over Eastern Europe to Japan, of course, in North America. Yeah, that's it. Bad, super bad dude.
And what is the one loss that sticks out in your mind?
One loss that sticks out in my mind, I trained really hard for the Arnold Classic in 2004. No doubt in my mind as more prepared as I've ever been. Also that year, the winner was to get a video shoot with Muscle and Fitness. So I listened to my buddy and I ran a lot and I got the water weight down. I actually tucked my shirt in. I looked like a beautiful 240-pound guy. But I think I concentrated a little too much on my photo preparation and I ended up taking second to Marcio Barbosa. And there's no doubt in my mind that I'm a better arm wrestler than him. I shouldn't have lost. So that's one title that I really wanted, prepared for, even prepared for after I won it, and it really didn't happen. So, the whole event was pretty much down to tubes because of that preparation.
Now you said you grew up arm wrestling. Were you ever interested in regular wrestling, football?
Regular wrestling, no. That's like a brutal, savage sport that is way too hard for me. However, I was a all-state football, basketball, baseball player. I played Division II baseball for Shepherd University. All-time winning pitcher in Shepherd College history, 26-3. And I think because of that, my left hand didn't suffer many. I didn't arm wrestle with my left hand until out of college. So the bumps and bruises that my right arm took by not being prepared really didn't happen to my left. Once baseball was over and I was already 22 years old, pretty much right then and there I was in the top 5 in the world left-handed and didn't know it. As soon as I started arm wrestling, it came to the surface really quick that I was going to be really good left-handed really fast.
And just out of curiosity, what did you major in?
Political science, modern and coaching athletics. And I'm the assistant athletic director at Shepherd University to this day, so I still work at the same school.
Oh, cool. What are your goals?
Goals in life or goals in arm wrestling?
Goals in life and goals in arm wrestling.
Goals in life are to be a perfect husband and dad and raise these kids to be, to make life as easy as it possibly can make it for them. In arm wrestling, it's just to be remembered, to kind of be super well-rounded in all aspects of arm wrestling, whether it's arm wrestling, whether it's organizing, promoting, refereeing, and now the new endeavor of teaching arm wrestling seminars.
And what would you say to people who think arm wrestling is not a sport?
Repeat the question. What would I?
What would you say to people who think arm wrestling's not a sport?
I wouldn't say anything because I have no problem with it being a hobby. If they want to call it a hobby, I'm cool with it being a hobby. I have no interest in making it big for the public. I know the void that arm wrestling fills in my life. Just like every other person in the world, you want to be a part of something. It doesn't matter if it's a local spelling bee, the FFA, or arm wrestling group. It just for us happens to be arm wrestling.
Okay. And sometimes confidence can be mistaken for cockiness.
Yeah, depending if the person likes you or dislikes you, right? If he dislikes you, you're being cocky. If he likes you, you're just being confident. So I've never, I don't really think there's, I don't mind being called either, right? If you're calling me, if you're calling me cocky, it's obviously that you have you have a little bit of problem with me, right? Which really it's a little harder to beat me if you have some personal emotional problem, right? I'd rather you were just prepared on what you were doing. Actually, I'm kind of happy that you're thinking about me and not, your preparation.
And so on that, what's going through your mind when you're coming up to the table? Right before
I just
match?
want to. I have a few principles I want to live by. Right. As soon as I want to make sure that I live in the moment and go as hard as I possibly can. First of all, right. That's the most important thing that I'm thinking. Right. Right away, go as hard as you possibly can. And that doesn't always mean act crazy, pump yourself up. It means follow the principles that you're supposed to follow, right? Know that I'm only going to use a smart hand. I'm going to make sure that my hand's positioned correctly, that my balance is perfect, right? That all these points, this checklist that I'm running down in my list, that I've gathered over the past few years, I just want to make sure that I stay in that moment, see exactly what I'm doing, and follow my principles, and not let anything outside of that, like this other guy, get involved in that checklist.
Do you have any pregame rituals?
Pre-game ritual, I like to take a hot shower, super hot shower, head down, eyes closed, a little bit of visualization, maybe a half hour before I'm going to be at the venue. And a good friend of mine hypnotized me one time, or he tried to, and he told me to see the match 5 times happening, and then it happens, right? And it just so happened the biggest thing in my life happened that particular day at the World Championships in 2003. So ever since then, a big pregame ritual for me is as soon as I walk out of that hotel room or out of my house or wherever it is, I just got out of a stupid hot shower with my eyes closed, steam everywhere, seeing me defeat my opponent at least 5 times.
And your opponent, as soon as you guys touch hands, you can tell his strength?
Well, not necessarily. A big part of my game is to not show my cards at the table. So I'm going to get up there with a soft hand, and I'm going to try to get myself in the fairest, most neutral grip I can. Hopefully then he doesn't know at exactly which angle I'm hitting at.
And some of the techniques that you were going over in the seminar, some people might consider those cheating.
I would say that cheating can only take place if you get fouled out by the referee. If the referee doesn't say anything, it's just a competitive advantage. So I would say know how to cheat so that you can recognize getting cheated. If you feel like cheating, the other person deals with it, you're the one that has to sleep at night. But I just want to make sure that I understand all aspects of cheating just to make sure I'm not on the losing end of it.
And what drives you?
What drives me? Oh man, I just want to be remembered. I think is the most important thing. So I know that the easiest way to get remembered is to be the best. I think so. That's what drives me.
And you're naturally a lefty. Are there any advantages to being lefty?
Well, advantages when you're pulling left-handed, disadvantage when you're pulling right-handed. However, I think that both. It's just. My right arm takes a little more time. I have to concentrate a little bit more. It just comes a little easier left-handed.
And half the game's intimidation, or psychological. Are there any intimidation factors? You talk about your soft hands, but you're obviously an opposing guy.
Right. Well, to tell you the truth, when you say the word intimidation, right, I think that the biggest way to intimidate someone is to be completely prepared. Because as long as you're prepared, right, then you feel that you can execute. Then I think that in itself, that calm confidence right there, is intimidating. However, I don't necessarily think that I intimidate my opponent as much as I fire my own self up. So when I'm over there breathing, getting ready, it has nothing to do with him. I'm just trying to get myself ready. Now, if getting myself ready scares him, well, that's all good. I have no problem with that.
All right. And Matty Schlitt, Hellboy from Germany?
Yes.
Do you think he has an advantage or disadvantage?
Wow, that's interesting. I think it's a complete advantage to his weight class. I mean, I know for a fact that that people spend a lot of time trying to deal with people with big hands. So right there, the person right away when they arm wrestle him, they're going to get a big hand. So that's going to be something that they're going to be thinking about. So I would say, from an intimidation factor, of great advantage. I'm not 100% if sure. I don't know if mechanically there are advantages. Is his arm stronger than his left arm? I mean, I really don't know, but definitely the intimidation factor is there. However, it also too, it doesn't look 100% healthy. So I'm not sure if it is an advantage. Maybe it's not an advantage. Maybe that his arm doesn't work exactly like it would if it was not as big.
And you're not competing in this event.
I'm not competing this year in the
This
World
year.
Championships.
And you've taken a step back to more reffing and supporting the sport.
Well, to be truthful, there's a big, huge money tournament on Sunday and Monday in Las Vegas, and that's why I'm not competing here at the World Championships.
Okay.
The World Championships will give you a title and usually a ton of invitations to money events. I, however, am grandfathered in every money event known to man. So there's a big-time money event 2 days later. The money from arm wrestling helps out with my family, so it's a no-brainer for me to use this week to work on the seminar skills, and then of course I'm close enough to still make the tournament on Sunday and Monday.
Right. And do you enjoy? Because you said you ref.
I do ref. Yes.
You do ref, and you work at the university athletics department.
That's correct.
Do you like that just as much as competing?
No. There's only one thing I like more than competing in arm wrestling, and that's either having a part of or even viewing my kids' success athletically. My kids play football, basketball, and I'll skip an arm wrestling tournament all day long to see a youth league, semifinal football game all day long.
How old are your kids?
My kids are 10, Tyson, 6 is Ezra, and then my daughter's 3 years old, Diem.
They arm wrestling yet?
Yes, every one of them know exactly what to do, and I make sure I work their hand motion into that top roll as often as possible. Usually 10 to 12 matches every night before they go to sleep. I'm the bath and bedtime guy. Bath, bedtime, and dishes. Everything else is on her.
So what are your thoughts on the event this year in Mesquite?
Oh, I think great location. I mean, 1,300 arm wrestlers, 1,300 different personalities, all in the same building. Not a ton of stuff to do except for sit around and talk arm wrestling. Not the greatest thing for an arm wrestler's wife, but pretty cool for an arm wrestler.
And what are the top teams in WAF and up and comers?
Well, there's an up and been there, and it's that mighty Eastern Bloc Russian, Ukraine, Georgia team. I don't know. I mean, I've heard it's steroids. Let me tell you something. I don't think there's any steroid in the world that could get every one of those guys having the most perfect, unbelievable genetics and technique. I mean, their coaches, their clubs, very sharp, right? I mean, you just take your hats off. The only good thing we can hope for is they still have to come through America if they want to claim the #1 spot.
So what? I guess they have two different techniques. Well, Americans have different techniques than the Russians.
No, everyone has the same pool of techniques to pull from, right?
Right.
It's all there. It's just for whatever reason, those guys are more inside hooking style you'll see from one. But it's really, to tell you the truth, the young kids they're working this great dragon top roll. I mean, they look as good as any of our veteran top rollers. I mean, they're pretty extraordinary, the strength from 17-year-old kids.
And since we still have you on camera, is there anything that you personally want to add?
No, have fun, arm wrestle.